And number 4 was to decrease your stress levels before your period. Like I said before, I do that with making sure I drink some calming tea. I don't even think I gave any examples, but
yeah, cut a few niggas off. What
yes,
else?
whatever you got to do, whatever, do whatever.
Quit your job. Come on, y'all. No, I'm just playing.
She trying to have y'all broken struggling.
Right.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Getting It Wrong podcast, where we embrace our mistakes because getting it wrong is the first step to getting it right. I'm your co-host, Gabby.
And I'm Morgan.
And we're about to get into it. So, Morgan,
yes.
Who got it wrong this week?
Okay. So a few people got it wrong this week. We're going to start off with, is his name Jaquees or Jaquees?
I don't know.
I'm going to hope it's Jaquees.
Let's go with Jaquees.
Jaquees. Okay, so did you see where he sang the national anthem at this NBA game?
No, I didn't see it. I saw it, but I never clicked on the video because I'm like, I'm not interested.
It was like it sounded like he was going like it was the vibrato.
Oh my god.
Much. But that's how he sings. So I'm like, why is everybody shocked? The first time I heard it, I didn't think people were actually making fun of him. I was just thinking they were like, oh, here it is. But people were kind of making fun of him because they didn't like his voice. I'm like, yeah, that's what he sounded like on everything.
Yeah. Do you know that clip that was going around where he was like,
no.
It's old, but that's probably what he sounded like singing the national anthem.
Yeah. They were like, it still ain't as bad as Fergie. I'm like, it's definitely not. Hers,
I heard that one and I was like,
that was the best, like, that was the best depiction of what it's like to be laughing with your friends, like when it's a bunch of you guys and then you're trying so hard to keep from laughing, but just looking at each other makes you laugh even more. Like their faces were perfect.
If we can find that clip, we need to put that in here.
Poor Jaquees. Anyway, poor Jaquees. He
keeps catching these strays. That's not fair. We know what he sounds like.
But I think that's what happens anyway when you build up your hype. Because remember, he was like, I'm the king of R&B. I feel like he was just trying to, because, you know, any publicity is good publicity.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to build up the hype for himself. Mm-hmm. And now everybody's like, that's what we compare it to. Like, are you the king of R&B?
Okay, well, he's just going to have to catch these jokes.
He definitely
want to be the king of R&B.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so anyway, I keep seeing this theme in shows. One was in, the theme was in Harlem, which is a show with like 4 Black women. It's on
Oh, is that with Megan Good?
It's got Megan Good, some other actors.
I do want to see that.
I'm not as familiar with the other ones, but they look somewhat familiar. I just don't know their names right off the bat. But yeah, so that one, it was pretty good. I watched like all of it. Short episodes. It's easy to watch it all. So that one was good. And then also, the other show I wanted to mention it's called Our Kind of People. And that one, I've been watching it on Hulu.
That's what is that with Yaya?
Yaya. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Yaya Descada.
Acosta. No, I made that up.
No, Acosta? You might be right. No,
Yaya Acosta. It's Acosta.
Okay.
Girl, we're in school.
If you say so.
Believe me. No, okay, so in both of those shows, they recently had like a theme of basically telling Black women that we need to get over the stereotype of strong Black women and actually embrace the fact that we can be vulnerable, because I feel like we're being too like strong to a fault, to the point where it's harming us more than helping us.
Oh, that's so, like 100% true. I've been killed that strong woman trope.
For real.
I'm like, I'm not strong. I'm delicate. I will cry at the drop of a hat. I am sensitive. And that's who I am. I can also do other things, but I lead with who I am. I'm my sensitive, soft self. And
no,
don't try to get me to be the strong Black woman, because I won't. I'm not going to be there. I'm not, because when they want you to be the strong Black woman, that really means that they want you to carry the burden of everybody.
Exactly. And benefit everybody but yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And work till your cup is empty.
Mm-hmm.
Cause girl,
And that
like
ain't
who
me.
and burn yourself out and just it's we don't have to be that strong. Like on the episode for Harlem,
Mm-hmm.
um I don't think it's too much of a spoiler, but for on Harlem, one of the characters, she was really excited about getting her tech company,
Mm-hmm.
her company up and running, and but she had passed out from cramp pains and she kept trying to put it off, like going to the doctor, and then eventually she was like right as she was going to, it was like a conference or something, um before she could make it in, she passed out again. They had to take her to the emergency room, put her in for emergency surgery, and
Mm-hmm.
they were like, "You should have been came in," basically. So she was trying to be so strong, trying to worry about building her empire, working on her company,
Mm-hmm.
and it just, I mean, to the point where she wasn't taking care of herself. So they were like, "You don't have to be strong for us," and they just had that moment where all the friends were coming together like, I can be vulnerable too, me too, and we should embrace that. And no, I just thought it was cute and it was uplifting and inspiring, because I feel like we all need to do that. Like, break that stereotype. We don't have to be strong, not all the time. And
Definitely.
there is strength in being vulnerable, and there's strength in being and embracing your weak moments and your weaknesses. So, girl, that's who got it wrong. All the people who are trying to uphold that,
All right,
they
trying
got
to
it
be
wrong.
strong all the time instead of
Mhm.
uh, listening to your body and letting yourself be vulnerable. Because
Mhm.
being strong all the time, that'll kill you. That's stress.
Girl, for real. But since we did mention her cycles were bad, that kind of takes us into our next segment.
Okay.
So, Gabby, what tips do you have
Mm-hmm.
today in our health segment?
All right, you guys. So I do have 5 tips to help you regulate your menstrual cycle. And I do want to preface this with I'm not a professional. I don't have all the answers. I know I always say this, but I really do give information that is tried and true for me. So I know that
Mhm.
it works for me. All of our bodies are different, so it might not work for other people, but
Mhm.
I'm just going to share what I have, and you can share your experiences as well. So,
Okay.
tip number 1 is examine your diet, because I think
Mm.
that is number 1. That that made the biggest change for me. Examining what I was eating and how it made me feel when I was on my cycle. So I
Mhm.
realized that eating fried foods and drinking a lot of caffeine and alcohol like that
Mhm.
made my periods like 100 times worse.
Okay. And just to
And
take a step back, so
mhm,
like, what do you feel like these tips are? So it's about the menstrual cycle, but what do you
mhm.
feel like the tips are going to be helpful for? Um,
For regulate, right, helping you regulate your menstrual cycle. So
mhm.
if you ever have problems with your symptoms, or you just
Mhm.
don't really track your period or anything, I mean, it's helpful for anyone who has issues with their menstrual cycle. It's to help you regulate it.
Gotcha. All things menstrual cycle. Okay, cool. So diet, that is important. That's a huge one. Because in general, like everything that you eat reflects, like your body is going to basically like emulate what you are eating. You are what you eat, literally. So,
Literally. And people don't really realize that. They think they can eat whatever they want and it'll be fine. That's everyone's answer is like it'll be fine. But then people come to me with questions because they think I'm not that they think, but I guess
mhm,
I'm more on the holistic side of things. So people do come to me with questions about like, what do you eat for your menstrual
Mhm.
cycle, or like how do you reduce cramps, or how do you, or questions of that nature. And I'm just like, look at what you're eating. And I'm like,
Mm.
so do you change your diet at all for your period? And they're
Mm.
like, no. I'm like, well, that's step one, because I know you're out here. I just saw you tweet about going to the bar last weekend. And I'm like, and so I'm like, and you're on your period this
Mm.
week. And I'm like, you probably shouldn't have done that. That's probably why you feel like crap.
Oh. So so you're saying your overall diet, like, okay, in general, you should eat healthy, but specifically like right before your period is coming, like be aware of that and change how you're eating so it's better?
Yes, change how you eat
Oh,
for your
okay.
menstrual cycle. And it's better to do that. I noticed for me, at least a week before. I haven't tried to
Mm.
change it more than that, more than a week before. But
Mhm.
when I do change my diet a week before, I do notice a difference.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm actually drinking red raspberry leaf tea right now. And I
Mhm.
cannot remember the source of where I got this information from, but I do
Mhm.
remember someone suggesting to drink red raspberry leaf tea before your menstrual cycle, a week before your menstrual cycle. And that
Mhm.
helped, and that will help. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And lo and
Mhm.
behold, it did. Like when I say I felt so much better, I drank it once a day,
Mhm.
a week before my period. And when
Mhm.
my period came, I noticed a significant difference in my overall mood, in my
Mm.
cramps, and just overall, I felt better.
Ooh, like even your mood, that's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know what it does. I don't know what it
Mm.
does. But when I say I felt like a new person, and you know what? It might not have been the red raspberry leaf tea itself when it
Mhm.
comes to like my mood, because I also do other things as well.
Mhm. Okay.
So,
But
but
yeah,
before
if it's cramps alone, I feel like that'll improve your mood too. If it's
true
improving
that.
your pain, like helping reduce pain, that's enough right there.
And another thing that I do before my period is consume way less caffeine and alcohol.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I know everyone loves caffeine. Everyone loves coffee. I see
Mhm.
the iced coffees, the hot coffees, the Starbucks pictures. So, I'm not telling you to
Mhm.
stop drink coffee. Stop drinking coffee.
Right.
But consume way less coffee.
Okay, I could
So,
do less. I could do less.
yes. Yes. Cuz I know you love your coffee too. So, I'm
You
not
know I
saying you
do.
have to stop, but drink less. So, I think they say about 400 milligrams is the amount of caffeine that you're supposed to have a day. Like, I know nobody measures. Well, I shouldn't say nobody measures, but the average person doesn't measure how much caffeine they have.
Yeah.
So I would say a week before your period, if you can measure it.
Yeah. I think I remember because I was drinking coffee while I was pregnant, and I
Mm-hmm.
think like one cup typically has like 200. But that was
Mm-hmm.
specifically at Dunkin' Donuts, so I would be like, all right, one cup. But I must have been because Zara came out hyper. Even in my
Really?
womb, she was acting up, y'all.
You think it's
Yeah,
because of caffeine?
I don't know. I'm sure that didn't help. But I tried to keep it down, but I was like, who wants to be tired?
Not me. So
Yeah.
but yeah, caffeine and alcohol. Like I did do a little research, and they say that and I got this research from flow.com. Flow is also an app that you can use to track your
Mm.
cycle. Um, they said that caffeine and alcohol can inhibit some of the hormones in your body, and it can cause inflammation, and it can severely increase the effects of your cramps and make it worse.
Ooh.
And it's like people
Okay.
don't even know that they're making their cramps worse,
No.
that they
And
could be making their cramps worse.
you know what's crazy? Because I've
Mm-hmm.
always had like really like painful cramps whenever I get my periods. But
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy now that you say that because a week before I get my period, I'm always extremely fatigued. So I probably do end up drinking more caffeine because
Mm,
I'm fatigued a week before my period. So I'm
mm-hmm.
sure that is like an ongoing cycle. That's
Oh
crazy.
man. Yeah.
Hmm.
The more you know, though, because if you would have known previously, because I know
Hmm.
your periods aren't that bad now from conversations that we've had, but if
Right,
you would have
right.
known previously that you could have maybe done something to
Girl.
decrease the severity of your symptoms, like it could have
Hmm.
increased your quality of life like tenfold.
Yes, because they expect us to go on like everyday life. So that, I
Right?
mean, like, hey, I
All
feel
right.
like that's another thing. It should be a
Mm-hmm.
whole, I feel like we should take off.
I think so
Um,
too.
it should be a whole
Mm-hmm.
monthly take off work, and it should be paid.
Yeah, and people don't. I'm about to go on a whole tangent because people
For
don't
real.
care about women and their cycles
Nope.
at all. Even when you're like a child, they don't care
Nope.
about you. In school, they don't care about you. I remember I was late to this one this one health class every single day because I had
How
to
ironic.
stop. Exactly. I had to stop in the bathroom and change my pad and like do all that kind of stuff before I went to class. And I was
Yeah.
late every day. And um I was trying, and my health teacher was a guy. So it was very,
Mm.
weird trying to explain to him why I was
Hmm.
late to class every day.
Hmm.
And I was like telling him that like I had things to take care of, like in the bathroom, and he just like was not getting it or he didn't care. And he still gave me like a write up, like tardy write
Hmm.
ups, because
Yeah.
I was late to class because I had to literally do what I'm supposed to do as a woman, but nobody
Exactly.
cares.
They don't talk, and then they don't talk about like I always try to figure out like how do people do it so quick? I'm like these heifers they can't be doing it right because they be coming in and out, and I'm like how? Because I be sitting there fumbling with like the tampon, the pad. I be like, and then it's not space in them itty bitty stalls.
It is
Whew.
not. And
So
then
I don't.
trying to be
It takes
quiet.
time. Forget that because like you see no. And,
I
oh,
used
but
to try to be quiet.
they
Because
did
it would
come
be
out with like a
so
quiet
loud.
one. Yeah, it is loud.
Oh,
I think they came out with like a, see, it's been so long.
like, yeah, I don't even know what they've come
Me
up
either.
with now. And we
Right.
don't, I feel like at this point, we don't even care. So,
Boy, because for real. But yeah, that's no, they really don't care, and that's crazy. There should be something in place, especially for schools, especially for like I remember being because I started mine in elementary school, and they didn't have
Mhm.
like trash cans inside the stalls. That's a whole embarrassing thing.
Oh my gosh. So you have to take this bloody napkin out of the
I don't remember what I
bathroom.
did. I came up with like a system. I feel like we all had to because we all like me and some of my friends, we all kind of started in sixth grade, maybe fifth
Oh my
grade for some of us.
gosh. Oh my
Um,
goodness.
girl, yeah. And so we were like use tissue and wrap it up and and then throw it away in the other. But they should have come up with something.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
So what are the children who start their period supposed to do?
Right. I'm like,
They're
y'all
like,
just
just
made
figure
us
it out.
watch. They made us watch the video a few weeks ago, and now that we started, what we gonna do? Like,
Mm, mm.
yeah.
Well, that's something, at least that's something that we know. And we do have girls. So I'm like, that's definitely
Mm,
something we can be better about
mm-hmm.
equipping them with.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that I have this knowledge now that I can share.
Exactly. Once you know more, you know more. Wait, you know better, you do better. Is that
Hmm
it?
And
Yeah.
once my little baby becomes of age, I'm be like, do they have little trash cans in the stalls? Because if not, I'm
Absolutely.
coming up there.
Right. I'm calling. I'm calling up to the
Uh-huh.
school. Like, don't play. No, they should know better though. Yeah,
They
especially because
should,
like
but
I was saying, they had us watch the video about like how they have the sex ed and just being knowledgeable about your menstrual cycle and whatever. Like they
mhm.
had us watch the video, and then a few weeks later, I remember starting, and, they,
They didn't
and
even
they
have
had,
anything to help you.
I'm like, hey now.
I think it's because
Yeah.
they assume that that women aren't going to start, well, girls aren't going to start until
Hmm.
middle school or high school or something like that. Because I
Yeah.
don't think I started until I was 13. But what
Mm,
about the girls that do? That's not fair. That's not fair to them.
exactly. Mhm. Yeah.
But so my tip number 2 is to track your period, because how can you prepare for your period if you don't track it?
Mhm.
And that's something I probably started doing. I should have started sooner. I probably started about like
Me
maybe
too.
5 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. But
Oh,
I,
really? Girl, your baby 5. You lying.
yeah, I started tracking before I had her. That's how I knew I was pregnant so
Oh.
soon,
Oh, wow.
because yeah, because I was like, oh, something ain't right. My period was supposed to come yesterday.
Whoops. Same. I knew because of the tracker too. But yeah, that tracker came in handy.
But I
Whew.
should have started tracking as soon as I started, but I didn't even know.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not gonna say I didn't know it was a thing, but I'm gonna say I didn't
Not
realize how
really.
important it was.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, when we were growing up, phones were just like cell phones were just starting to pop. Like, they didn't have apps yet.
Yeah,
So,
but I think my mom mentioned, like, tracking and like knowing my period days and all that. Like, she told
oh,
me I should do that, but there wasn't
mm-hmm,
like, all I really knew was like, okay, my period came this day, or I just knew like my
mm-hmm,
last menstrual period. That's all.
okay,
It wasn't like in-depth tracking until maybe like five
yeah,
6 years ago.
okay, that's fair. Yeah. Um, and then another thing, that period tracking app,
Mm-hmm.
um, the one I would use, it lets you track your symptoms because I'd be trying to figure it out. I'd be like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
this time I was so tired and fatigued, but it never clicked that I should be tracking those symptoms and linking them up with what I was eating or some of the
Mm-hmm.
habits I was having. So that's a major key right there, knowing to not only track your symptoms, because that's really important, but
Mm-hmm.
to track, to try and correlate that as much as you can so you can figure out what to do better going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do use Flow, FLO, the app, to track my period. I pay for the premium. I do.
Mm.
Um I feel like it's just so much better because it gives you insight on like where you
Hmm.
are in your cycle. And I feel like having that knowledge really equips
Yeah.
me with, how to move accordingly.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
just like,
And
oh, your estrogen is high today. So you have, or this week, so
mm,
you have more energy to like, do certain things during this part of the cycle in your period and stuff like that.
oh,
So I kind of use that to, it's kind of funny because I like maneuver my life around my period,
that's interesting.
and it's been helpful. So
What
to
would that
just,
look like?
so I can't remember what part of your cycle, but there is, once I get my notification that I'm entering the part of my cycle where my estrogen is high and I'll have more
Hmm.
energy, that's when I plan to do like all my hard stuff, like all the stuff I don't really want to do. Like, this is the
Okay.
week where I will do that stuff. So when my
Mm,
estrogen is low and my energy falls, like, I don't have to worry
mm.
about it.
Ooh, that's good though. Because people probably wondering why, like, I'm so tired and depressed every time this time of month, or like I feel manic this time of month. And you're like, what is
Yes.
I'm gonna just roll with it. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I that's a yeah. And that those tracking apps, not only do they do that, but then if you are I mean, it's pretty cool because you can track like when's the best time of the month to get pregnant, or if you're trying to do
Mm-hmm.
like what is it, fertility. And then
Mm-hmm.
it also has like tracking for during childbirth, if I'm not mistaken. Like during
Does it?
it does some type of tracking during dadgummit, while you're pregnant.
You're probably right. Let me see.
I don't know how that benefits anybody, but I'd be
I
curious
mean,
to
if
find
they're
out.
pregnant, I
I'm like, once you're pregnant, what you need that for? So I feel like there's a specific benefit for it, but I don't know it.
think what you're saying reminds me of like parents.com or something. You know how they have that tracker where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, your baby is the size of a a nut or I
I
don't know,
love
an
that.
egg. Yeah, it's so cute. I wonder if
Yes,
Flo does that.
it might.
It
Yeah,
might.
yeah, it might. I love that, by the way, because I still look at that for because it still
Yeah.
goes. It says like your 5-year-old is doing this, and it helps keep me in tune with like what's going on with her.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And that's super important because
girl.
your child will be clowning you like I don't know what's going on. But
Ooh,
if you read a little bit about what's going on developmental wise where they are,
absolutely.
it gives you so much clarity and you can deal with them better.
Exactly, because you're like, okay, so this at this point they are like I remember wondering like, okay, my child don't listen. And I'd be like, oh, reading it and it would be like, okay, your child does listen. They just don't put two and two together with what you're saying and deciphering if they should do like what was it? It's just like a point in development where they make decisions based off of I don't know. Let me stop because I can't remember. I can't
It's fine.
remember.
It's fine. It's fine. But yes, I totally agree. Those, you should track it way past birth. You should track your children way past birth because it's super
Hmm.
helpful. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what were we talking about? We were talking about periods. We
Hmm.
went off on a little tangent, but it's
We
fine.
did.
It's what we do. So,
Mm.
but the third tip that I have for regulating your menstrual cycle is exercise. So
Mm.
I know when your period is getting close, the last thing you want to do is exercise, at least for me, because that's when you start to feel
Yeah.
fatigued, right? And you're just like,
Me.
ugh,
Yeah.
I just want to lay down. I just want
Yeah.
to go to take a nap. But if you actually get up and get at least like 30 minutes of exercise in, it could be a walk, a jog, some sit ups, some running in place. It could be anything,
Hmm.
but that can really improve your menstrual cycle. Like it can reduce cramps, it can reduce
Mm.
irritability. I mean, that's what it does for me at least.
Mm. Okay. That's not my ministry, but okay. I'm just
I
playing.
mean, I
No, I'm
know, I know it's not what you want to do, but I'm just saying it'll help.
no. Yeah, I mean, with working out, I just overall feel better. Like my body just overall feels better.
Hmm.
Um, it's been so long because I mean, I have like an IUD birth control, so I don't currently get cycles. So it's been
Hmm.
a while since I have gotten them. And what I can remember is that I don't know. I feel like I didn't keep up with like whether or not being active. Um, like made a difference in my I remember hearing it, but I
Hmm.
don't know. I can't remember if being active actually made a difference in my cycle or not. Maybe energy wise.
Yeah. And it probably
Mm,
helped with the fatigue. You know, fatigue is a symptom. So,
mm, okay. Possibly, possibly.
and if it helped your
Yeah.
energy, then that means it
Hmm.
did something.
Yeah, I mean that's better than not. Shoot.
Right. So the next tip that I have is stress. So stress can really wreak havoc on your body no matter
Hmm.
what. So, of course, trying to reduce stress before your period is going to help out. And the way that I do it is make sure that I get my yoga sessions in. I really love to
Hmm.
do yoga like every night, but I go periods to where I don't do it at all.
Mm,
So I
yeah.
know the week before my period, I know that I'm like, okay, I gotta get my yoga session in tonight because when my body is flexed, when my body is stretched, I feel 10 times better. Like yoga is what helps me regulate my stress. Yoga and tea.
Mm. Hmm. No, that's a good point because people are always like, yeah, you PMSing, like you're getting moody. And if you can like try to figure out what tips to do, if you know that's coming, then like whatever helps you de-stress so you can be prepared, so you
Hmm.
can be already set, find your baseline. So when you get there, when you do get there, you are a little less yeah, don't let it pile up and then get there and then you're
Hmm.
exploding on people.
Exactly. Because there's been times where it's like yeah, I track my period, but I'm not perfect. So there's been times where I haven't prepared for my period and it hits and I'm just like, damn it. I'm about to wild out.
You'll be like, why am I crying? I don't understand. Yes.
Yeah. So, whoo,
You'll be like, I
child.
almost hit that lady.
I did. It was like, dang, why did I want to punch everyone in the face today? Mm.
Man. And then you're like, this is
That's
all
why.
making sense. Then the
It's
next
all
week
making
hit, you're
sense
like, this
now.
is making sense. This is making
Mm-hmm.
sense. I get it.
Yeah, ma'am. So it's okay if you mess up, but just as long as you keep trying, keep tracking, it'll
Mm-hmm.
improve your quality of life. I promise. And I
Mm,
have one last tip,
mm-hmm.
and this is for people who have like serious like symptoms. Because I know you're
Mm-hmm.
one of those people too. And I don't know if you've ever
Mm.
done this, you might have, but it's go to the doctor.
No.
Because like I hear some
No, yeah.
crazy stories and sometimes you can't fix things holistically. Sometimes it might be
Mm.
like an underlying issue that you don't even know about. So if
Mm-hmm.
you've tried like all the holistic things and it's not improving and you're still going through all these crazy symptoms, like please go to the doctor and figure out if there is something else, because if there is something else,
Yeah.
once you get that taken care of, like that'll improve your quality of life tenfold for sure.
No, for real. Because I think we all try and tough it out because it's like, oh, it's supposed to hurt a little. Like,
Mm-hmm.
girl, like I would be throwing up.
Mm.
I would have like a numb leg. Like, stuff
Oh
like
my
that don't make
God.
sense.
It don't make sense. Like, why is my
Like,
body going numb? I
like, what is happening?
can't feel
Like,
my
and then
legs.
it gets to the point where stuff like just like medicine doesn't work, like your pain relievers don't work, things like that. If you are at that point, and I know I'm being hypocritical, but like I didn't go to the doctor, but I
Hindsight is
agree with you.
2020.
No, really. Because once I got into actual labor and I was like,
Mm.
this feels familiar. And I was like low key chilling. I was like, I should have checked on those periods if I can kind of low key breeze through labor because this is what my cramps felt like the whole time
Mm-mm.
I was
Mm-mm.
growing up, then this is a problem.
So it's
So
like every
yeah,
time you were going through your menstrual cycle, it was basically like you're going through labor, child
practically,
labor.
practically.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Like,
Yeah, girl.
let these people know you don't got to be a strong black woman. You don't.
Bring it back. We
Go
bringing
to
it
the doctor.
full circle. Exactly.
Go to the doctor.
No, for real.
I mean, I'm talking to
Yes.
myself too because I'm sorry.
Hmm.
The audio was tripping for a second, but I'm speaking to myself too because I have issues going on right now that I'm ignoring, and I'm just like, I don't have time. I don't have time to go to the
Yes.
doctor right now, but like, you need to go to the doctor. Now we're going to take a break and hear from our sponsors. Pregnancy is one of the most vulnerable times in a woman's life. In a world full of uncertainty, Amazing Grace Ultrasound helps make things clear. Are you unsure if you're pregnant or not? Amazing Grace Ultrasound has pregnancy confirmation ultrasounds. Do you want to know the gender of your baby? You can get a gender blood test as early as 7 weeks. Are you curious about what your baby will look like? Amazing Grace Ultrasound uses state-of-the-art technology to offer 3D, 4D, and HD ultrasound. At Amazing Grace Ultrasound, they don't just do ultrasounds, they create memories. Just look at the reviews, they speak for themselves. Go to www.amazinggraceultrasound.com to check out their packages and book your appointment today.
All right. So we're back. All right. So yeah, just as some takeaways. We were kind of saying like this is something we also need to do. And I just find that this is like kind of therapeutic for us a little bit because I feel like we're learning as we do research and talk about these things too. So it's not just like I don't feel like it's necessarily just like being hypocritical. It's like we are learning alongside of
Yes,
this.
we're taking
So
you all on this journey with us.
exactly.
And whatever we
Because
learn, we're going to share that with you.
Exactly. Because we are getting it wrong, so y'all can get it right. But yeah, some like takeaways here. If you just want to review those tips, what was the first one?
So the first one was to examine your diet. Make sure that you are just checking in and maybe editing your diet a little bit, at least a week before your period comes, to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that, cut back on the caffeine, the alcohol, and
Mm,
put more whole foods and fruits. I don't think I mentioned that before, but like you
mm,
can cut back on the bad and increase the good.
mm-hmm. Okay, that's a
Stay
good one.
hydrated.
Exactly.
Okay, and
Okay.
the second tip, number two, that is to track your period.
Mm.
So you can download the Flow app if you want. Sponsor me. Um,
Exactly.
there is they have a free version. You don't have to pay for a premium or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go ahead and download the Flow app right now and get started tracking your period. So it'll be easier for you to um, do everything you need to do to prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
And tip number three was to exercise. You don't,
Mm.
I was going to say you don't have to do it every day, but you probably should.
I feel like I was being a hater because I'm lazy. I was like, I don't know if that, I just don't know if that worked for me. No, but everybody's different, so it doesn't hurt to try it for sure.
Yeah, and low key, as humans, we are supposed to be exercising at least 30 minutes a day. Sometimes it
Mm.
happens, sometimes it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. But before your period, try to make sure you do that.
Mm.
And number four was to decrease your stress levels before your period. Like I said before, I do that with making sure I drink some calming tea. I don't even think I gave
Mm.
any examples, but
Yeah,
I,
cut a few niggas off. What
yes,
else?
whatever you got to do, whatever, do whatever.
Quit your job. Come on, y'all. No, I'm just playing.
She trying to have y'all broke and struggling.
Right. And alone.
And alone. Cut them off, quit your job.
No, go on vacation.
Don't listen to her. Okay.
Right.
And number five was to, if you're still having crazy symptoms, like even after you've like tried painkillers and done all the holistic things you can,
Mm,
please go to the doctor. You do not have to suffer. You do not have to be a strong
yes.
Black woman.
And I
Or
think I
mhm.
think that's a good tip because you know how like pain is relative. So you let yourself sit through something for so long and you're like, okay, I'm kind of used to this. Like, y'all pay attention to your bodies.
Pay
If you're getting to the
attention.
point where you have extreme symptoms, like what I was talking about, like it should not be that bad. You should not be sitting here throwing up. You should be able honestly, you should still be able to function. Not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, I mean, function with an attitude that is warranted, but like you should still be able to function.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's getting bad, like definitely go to the doctor.
Yes, get some help, babe. It can even be like a holistic doctor. I know there's a uptick of holistic doctors being available for people. Um, so yeah, you've got options. I hope you have insurance, but
Yeah. I feel like Planned Parenthood has some options though.
oh, you're right.
If
Oh
you
my gosh, I
don't,
get little testy suggesting Planned Parenthood because suggested Planned Parenthood to someone and they were like, "Don't they do abortions?" And I'm like,
that's not it.
yeah, I mean, that is one of the services that they offer, but they also offer so many other things for
Yeah, if
people.
I see, I could be wrong. We're gonna have to check this,
Mhm,
but I think they offer
mhm.
like free birth control.
They do.
Um, like, come on,
They do.
yeah.
They
And
offer so
sometimes that
many
can help you
things.
regulate your period. Although, I mean, go to your doctor first. I'm not trying to make y'all
Yeah,
get on birth control because it ain't right
yeah,
for everybody. For most of us,
yeah.
honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly, I don't think it's good for any of us, but it's like for women, it's like you only have few options.
Yeah.
So it's like either use this birth control or have a baby. I mean, I
Hmm.
guess you could be abstinent, but let's be realistic
Hmm.
here. And I know there are other options such as like natural family planning. That's something I want to learn more about and get more into, but I'm also extremely frightened because if something goes wrong or if I make a mistake, that's that's another life you could possibly be creating. And that's not something I'm willing
You
to
see my face.
chance. Yeah.
What is it? The rhythm system or what is it? Yeah. Be careful,
I mean,
yeah.
and you also do it with like tracking your period too, because there's like cycles in your period where you're more likely to get pregnant than other times. So,
Right.
but I don't know about it. What's going on? What you laughing at?
I hit mute and I was like, you know about that today?
Oh,
Because she turned around when I said that. Did I say it wrong? So she know what I'm talking about. All right.
Okay. We got a special guest in the back.
Somebody guilty in the back. Okay.
No doctor recommends.
I heard that. She said,
What you say?
She back there like, I'm not doing that. No doctor doing nothing that no doctor recommends. I'm like, man, sometimes they be acting up. So I don't blame you.
Man,
But that just
right.
goes back to some of the distrust in the Black community when it comes to these doctors' offices. So
Yeah,
if
if
you
you guys want to
have
hear more
that,
about that, go
yes,
back to one of our previous episodes where we talked about um what you want to pass down from the culture and healthcare in the Black community.
absolutely. No, that was a good listen. And we did end it with some tips. It was kind of heavy. It got into some heavy moments, but it's really a good listen. So when you're in the mood to be informed, definitely listen to that episode. We come up
Oh,
with some good tips.
it was called Advocating for Your Health. I couldn't remember the name of the title, but that's what
Yeah.
it was.
Our episode 2.
Yes, yes. And
Mhm.
the main takeaway from this episode, I think we can sum it all up with just listening to your body and making the necessary adjustments.
Absolutely.
All right. And I'm going to end it with our little skill. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. If you want to talk to us or share any suggestions that you have for the podcast, or if you have any questions, you can email us at gettingitwrongpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at Getting It Wrong Pod and on Twitter at _getting-it-wrong. Where else can they find us? Well, I know you can listen to us on YouTube. All you have to do is search Getting It Wrong Podcast and we should pop up. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud.
Yeah. I was like, let me try.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, what she said.
I'll be zoned out at the end.
And that's all we have for you guys today. So, ciao.
Bye.